moon hung low and bright over the prairie, casting long shadows across the empty fields. Cole was riding home late, the night air cool against his skin, when he heard a sound that made him pull up short. A cry, sharp and desperate, carried on the wind. He listened, heart pounding, and heard it again. "Please, don't hurt me." The voice was thin, trembling, and full of terror. He spurred his horse toward the sound, every sense on edge. The trail led him to the edge of the old cottonwood grove, where the trees grew thick and the darkness seemed to press in from all sides. He dismounted quietly, tying his horse to a low branch, and crept forward, boots muffled by the soft earth. There, in a small clearing, he saw her, a young woman, her dress torn and dirty, her hair tangled, her face streaked with tears. She was backed up against a fallen log, her hands raised in a futile attempt to shield herself. Towering over her was a man Cole recognized from town, Jed Harper, a drifter with a mean streak and a reputation for trouble. Jed's fist was clenched, his face twisted with anger. "Please, don't hurt me," the woman sobbed, her voice barely more than a whisper. Jed sneered, grabbing her arm and yanking her to her feet. "You should have kept your mouth shut," he growled. "Now you're gonna pay for it." Cole's blood ran cold. He stepped into the clearing, his voice hard as iron. "Let her go, Jed." Jed spun, surprise flashing in his eyes. "This ain't your business, Cole. Walk away." But Cole didn't move. He saw the terror in the woman's eyes, the way she shrank from Jed's grip, and something inside him snapped. "Let her go," Cole repeated, his hand hovering near the butt of his revolver. Jed hesitated, then shoved the woman aside, sending her sprawling in the dirt. "Fine. Take her. She's not worth the trouble." He spat at the ground, shot Cole a look full of hate, and stalked off into the darkness. Cole rushed to the woman's side, kneeling beside her. "You're safe now," he said gently. She flinched at his touch, curling into herself, her whole body shaking. "It's all right," Cole soothed. "He's gone. He won't hurt you again." She looked up at him, her eyes wide and haunted, her breath coming in ragged gasps. He helped her to her feet, steadying her as she swayed. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She hesitated, then whispered, "Maggie. Maggie Turner." Cole nodded, offering her his handkerchief. "You're safe, Maggie, I promise." She wiped her face, trying to compose herself, but the fear lingered in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. I thought he was going to." Her voice broke, and she couldn't finish. Cole's jaw tightened. "He won't get another chance. Not while I'm around." He led her back to his horse, helping her into the saddle. As they rode toward his ranch, Maggie clung to him, her body trembling with every step. Cole kept a watchful eye on the shadows, his mind racing with anger and worry. He'd seen men like Jed before, bullies who preyed on the weak, who thought they could do as they pleased. But tonight, Cole had stopped him. Tonight, he'd made a difference. When they reached the ranch, Cole helped Maggie inside, settling her by the fire. He brought her water and a blanket, speaking softly, letting her know she was safe. But as he looked at her, at the bruises on her arms, the terror in her eyes, he felt something inside him freeze. He realized just how close she'd come to being lost, and how easily it could have gone the other way. Maggie sat by the fire, her hands wrapped tight around the mug Cole offered her, the steam rising in thin, wavering lines. She stared into the flames, her eyes distant, as if she were somewhere far away. Cole watched her from across the room, anger simmering beneath his calm. He wanted to ask questions to know what had happened, but he sensed that pushing too soon would only make things worse. Instead, he busied himself with small tasks, fetching a clean cloth for her cuts, stoking the fire, making sure the doors and windows were locked tight. The night outside was silent now. The only sound the crackle of burning wood and the soft, uneven rhythm of Maggie's breathing. After a while, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "He followed me from town. I tried to lose him, but he wouldn't stop. Said I owed him for something I never did." She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I was just trying to get home. I never thought he'd—" Her words trailed off, lost in the shadows. Cole knelt beside her, his voice gentle. You don't have to explain, Maggie. None of this is your fault. She looked at him, searching his face for any sign of doubt, and found only kindness. Thank you, she whispered. Most folks wouldn't have stopped. Most would have just kept riding. Cole's jaw tightened. That's not right. No one deserves what he tried to do. He handed her the cloth, and she dabbed at the cut on her cheek, wincing. You're safe here, he said. I'll keep watch tonight. Jed won't come near you again. Maggie nodded, her shoulders sagging with exhaustion. She finished her tea and let Cole show her to the spare room, where she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. I don't know how to thank you, she said softly. You already have, Cole replied. By trusting me. He left her to rest, but sleep didn't come easy for either of them. Cole sat by the window, rifle across his lap, eyes fixed on the darkness outside. He replayed the night's events in his mind. The fear in Maggie's voice, the look in Jed's eyes. He wondered how many other women had suffered in silence, how many had been left with no one to turn to. As dawn crept over the horizon, Cole brewed coffee and set a plate of bread and jam on the table. Maggie emerged, pale but steadier, her hair brushed and her dress clean. She offered a small, grateful smile. Thank you, Cole, for everything. He nodded, pouring her a cup. You're welcome. You can stay here as long as you need. They ate in silence, the tension slowly easing. After breakfast, Maggie helped with the chores, feeding the chickens, gathering eggs, sweeping the porch. She moved carefully but with purpose, as if the simple work helped ground her. Cole watched her, respect growing with every passing hour. Later, as they sat on the porch, Maggie spoke again, her voice stronger. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to run. Cole nodded, understanding. You don't have to, not here. This is your home now, if you want it. Tears welled in Maggie's eyes, but this time they were tears of relief. I do, she whispered. I want to stay. I want to start over. Cole smiled, a warmth spreading through him. Then you will, and I'll stand with you, no matter what. As the sun climbed higher, the fear that had frozen Cole the night before began to thaw, replaced by a quiet determination. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but together, they could face whatever came. And for the first time in a long while, hope flickered on the horizon, bright and unbreakable. The days that followed brought a gentle routine to the ranch, a rhythm that slowly eased the tension from Maggie's shoulders. She worked alongside Cole, tending the garden, mending fences, and learning the ways of the land. Each evening, they shared supper by the fire, the silence between them growing more comfortable, filled with the quiet understanding of two people who had both seen too much. But the world outside hadn't forgotten. One afternoon, as Maggie was hanging laundry in the sun, a rider appeared on the road. Jed Harper, his face set and mean, a fresh bruise darkening his jaw. He pulled up at the gate, glaring at Maggie. You think you can hide from me? He spat. You think anyone in this town will believe your lies over mine? Cole stepped out of the barn, wiping his hands on his jeans, his eyes cold and steady. You're not welcome here, Jed. Turn around and ride out before you regret it. Jed sneered, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. You're making a mistake, Cole. She's trouble, always has been. Cole didn't flinch. The only trouble I see is a man who can't take no for an answer. V's start not 8-10. Jed's bravado faltered. He spat in the dust, then turned his horse and rode off, his threats fading into the distance. Maggie watched him go, her hands trembling, but she stood tall, refusing to let fear win. Cole joined her, his presence a steady reassurance. He won't bother you again, he promised. Not while I'm here. That night, as the sun set in a blaze of color, Maggie sat on the porch, her gaze fixed on the horizon. I used to think I'd never feel safe again, she said softly. But here, with you, I do. Cole smiled, a gentle warmth in his eyes. You're stronger than you know, Maggie. You faced him down. You didn't run. She looked at him, hope flickering in her eyes. I want to stay. I want to build a life here, if you'll have me. Cole nodded, his voice steady. You're already part of this place. And you always will be. As the weeks passed, the townsfolk began to notice the change in Maggie. She walked with her head held high, her laughter ringing out as she worked in the garden or fed the chickens. Some offered cautious smiles. Others kept their distance. But no one dared challenge her place at Cole's side. Like stories from the old frontier? Then saddle up and subscribe. More Western legends are on the way. One evening, as they sat together beneath the stars, Maggie spoke, her voice full of gratitude. "You saved me, Cole. Not just from Jed, but from the fear that had taken over my life. You listened. You believed me. That means more than I can ever say." Cole took her hand, his grip gentle but sure. "You saved yourself, Maggie. I just gave you a place to do it." The prairie stretched out before them, vast and wild, full of promise. Maggie knew there would still be hard days, still be shadows from the past. But she also knew she wasn't alone, not anymore. With Cole beside her, she could face whatever came, her heart steady and unafraid. And as the night deepened, the ranch bathed in silver moonlight, Cole realized that sometimes the bravest thing a person could do was to stand up for someone else, to offer kindness when the world turned cold, to believe when no one else would. In that moment, he knew he'd found something worth fighting for, something that would last long after the fear had faded.